It's time for Recipe of the Day. Let's start this week off with a bang. Something easy but delicious and fun. It is honey bourbon chicken cooked in the Instant Pot. So this is kind of like a Chinese restaurant or mall Chinese restaurant food court specialty. And I have 3 things to tell you about before I jump into how to make it. First, where does it come from? So bourbon chicken is thought to have originated at a Chinese restaurant on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. And that is why it's called bourbon chicken, not because it necessarily contains bourbon. But if you poll people in the know about whether it should have bourbon in it or not, as many people say yes as say no. And so I am a more is more person. And if I have bourbon in the house, I add it to my bourbon chicken. If I don't have bourbon in the house, which is actually often the case, I'm not really a bourbon drinker, then I use a little bit of vanilla. You get some of that warm, smoky flavor. Don't worry, it's not going to taste like a vanilla cake or anything like that. It just gives that tiny little extra touch that makes bourbon chicken so delicious. The third thing I'm going to tell you is that you do not need to brown the chicken first before cooking this with the pressure in the Instant Pot. I have actually done the side-by-side comparison and tested cutting the chicken into pieces and then searing or browning them first in the Instant Pot versus not doing so, and you couldn't taste the difference in this dish. I know that does develop flavor and that you can tell the difference in some dishes, but this one, there's just so many flavors going on in that sauce, and it's thick and syrupy and sticking to the chicken. You just don't notice the difference. And that is a win-win-win for us because it makes this so much easier for our weeknight. Okay, how do you make this honey bourbon chicken in the Instant Pot? You're going to start by cutting some chicken thighs into bite-sized pieces. You can use chicken breast for this. It's just not going to be quite as juicy. And we're doing 2 pounds of boneless, skinless chicken, either the thighs or the breast, in bite-sized pieces. And then you're going to season that up with half a teaspoon of salt and a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. That chicken is going into the Instant Pot along with a small onion that you've diced up, half a cup of soy sauce, half a cup of honey, a 1/4 cup of ketchup, 2 garlic cloves minced up, a teaspoon of fresh ginger minced, or you can do half a teaspoon of dried ginger, and then half a teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. You can leave those out if you don't want them, if you don't want that heat. And then 2 tablespoons of the bourbon or half a teaspoon of vanilla. And all of that is going into the Instant Pot, and then you're putting the lid on. Make sure that your venting valve is at sealing, and you set that to high pressure cook for 10 minutes. Once that 10 minutes is up, that means that the whole unit has come up to pressure, and then pressure cooked for 10 minutes. Leave it alone for an extra 5 minutes. That's the natural release of 5 minutes. Then flick that knob to venting to release the rest of the pressure. And then you're going to take that lid off once the little button drops down, letting you know that all the pressure's gone. Then you take the lid off. And I'm just going to interrupt myself to say here that if you have not cooked with an Instant Pot before and you're listening to me right now, it can sound really confusing and daunting, but trust me, once you've done it one time, just one time, and it even comes with instructions for how to just cook 1 cup of water in there to try it out. Once you've done it that one time, it's really easy and all this makes total sense. So don't be scared if you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never getting an Instant Pot. Please, please, please try it. It's way easier than you think. Okay, so we've taken the lid off, and then you get a little bowl and you mix together 2 tablespoons of cornstarch with a tablespoon of water. Make that nice and smooth in your little bowl, and then drizzle that into the pot and then give it a stir. And then you're going to turn the Instant Pot to the saute function. That just makes it work kind of like a stove, really like a pot on the stove. And you're just going to cook that and stir it until it's bubbling and thickened, about 5 minutes. I like to top that with some chopped up green onions and some toasted sesame seeds. But if you're in a hurry, just like it is, on some white rice, maybe some stir-fried broccoli on the side too. It's going to be a super fun meal to start your week. I will put the link to this recipe in the show notes for this podcast episode, or you can head to cookthestory.com/ROTD and get it there. Everything there is arranged by date, so it's helpful to know that today is December 16th of 2024. And I'm also going to say, if you have not subscribed to this show already, do it now. Open your favorite podcast app on your phone and search for Recipe of the Day. You will find me, or go to cookthestory.com/ROTD and you will see right at the top there that you can tap on the different links to subscribe on some of the bigger podcast apps. You will get a new episode from me every single day, 7 days a week. There are over 1,200 episodes, so you know I mean it. I do not miss a day. So you can always count on me to give you a great idea of what you can make that day, that week, that potluck coming up, or whatever it is. I've got you covered. I'm Christine Pittman from cookthestory.com, thecookful.com, the all-new chicken cookbook, and from this podcast, Recipe of the Day. I hope you have a great day. Let's get cooking.